Um, so yeah, so I alluded to the fact Holly and I kind of had a pre-meeting last year. Holly, I don't know if you remember, I think it was like October time last year.
I
Just to
do, I
get a bit,
do.
yes, just to get a bit of insight. And I think there's a couple of things that we came up with that would be a good area to focus on initially was, collaboration. So collaborating between the SDRs and the DSAs and between marketing. Again, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to putting you on the spot there, Holly, but that was one of the areas that we said maybe SalesNav could help you support you with as the marketers.
Yeah, I think some of the things that we were looking at was how do we take some of the accounts and support the sales teams in creating a bit of a community and giving them a social selling platform.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. So collaboration across the account, having a joint visibility. So we'll cover some of that. And then also we talked about marketing support and demand generation, events, and the good term that we use, multi-threading. Talking about personas and helping the sales team be better across all the personas that they need to work with. Anything else, Holly, that or anyone on the call that's top of mind for you at the moment, bearing in mind what you might have already seen of SalesNav in the past, or challenges you're having working with sales at the moment to collaborate, anything that's top of mind for anyone?
So Charity, I think helping us understand where we've got people in our existing customers that maybe have changed roles.
Yeah.
And also I think you've now got intent signals in SalesNav as well. So we're good to understand
Yes.
how we explore and exploit those. Because as the platform's got bigger, a lot of those things become harder to find.
Yeah.
So anything where we can sort of get intelligence in our regions and patches, how we build lists, how we can collaborate on those lists with sales, I think would be super cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Mark's got his hand up there.
Yeah, so if we get the opportunity and there's time, it'd also be worth just showing people how you update the CRM when
Yeah.
you come across data that is different to what we have internally, then update it. And that supports all the future nurturing activities that go on with those accounts.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a really good point, Mark. So we do have the opportunity to bulk update contacts into the CRM now. So that's all been set up. So yeah, I can show that. Not a problem. Okay, well, I've got a couple of slides just to kick off, but then I will go into the platform and show you some useful things. If people haven't already got licenses and then following this call, Mark, you assign the licenses to the team, then we can hold another call to go through specifics on the platform as well. Because as Tony said, it has got more sophisticated. There's a lot more you can do with it, but there's going to be key things that you want to do, which I'll cover today. And then we can go over that another time once you've got your license as well. So I'm just going to share my screen for a couple of slides, but please do stop me as I go along and ask any questions. So we've already kind of touched on what we're going to cover today. I'm going to briefly cover some of what we talked to the sales team about, just so you're aware of that as well. And obviously the goal is that we bring together what sales and marketing are doing. So Tony, are very invested in our sales and marketing platform. So I'm sure you've all been working with Campaign Manager. And so it's like, how can we create that sales and marketing overlap so that you're targeting and talking about the same audiences and getting in front of the same people? A very brief look at this kind of sales and marketing overlap. I don't know if the marketing team share this with you, Tony, but this is my view that I downloaded yesterday in terms of where the sales and marketing team overlap in terms of targeting. So there's 6% overlap there. So there's definitely some gains that we can make by collaborating and having a look at who sales are targeting versus who marketing are targeting. And this data, we're not going to deep dive into it today, but it's just kind of showing you what's available. It can be very detailed in terms of, who's marketing targeting versus who the sales team are saving as leads in SalesNav. So again, like there's obvious areas that are better than others here. Like for example, professional services. the overlap is stronger. But this is something that we can try and work on through you having more visibility of what the sales team are doing in SalesNav. So to Tony and Mark's point, we have renewed the licenses and we are working with everyone across Tanium. So it's not just about the sales team. We have a, all-in approach for Tanium. So we work with Jake Turner's team, for example, so that they are, monitoring and growing their relationships, nurturing their relationships. We work with Ben Stein's team on operations, with Mark G, with the partner solutions team and the executive engagement team, Eric Gaston. So there's the opportunity here for everyone to collaborate and have the same visibility of the accounts that are important to Tanium and the people in those accounts that are the sales and the sales partners are working with. And obviously marketing being a big piece of that and what we're kicking off today. So this is kind of like the key message that I presented at Steve Murphy's team meeting a while back. What we're trying to do with the sales team is to make sure that they have access to all the right people, that they're doing their research and building advocacy in those accounts. They're getting deep and wide, and an example really I've used was how many people that I speak to at Tanium. It's a huge number of people now that we're having to map to in each business, each company that we're working with in order to be productive and successful and close these deals that we want to close. So this is, what we're calling multi-threading, being connected with more of the right people. It's also about the right personas, so not just tapping into the CISO roles, the business, also mapping to the business roles. There's quite a lot of people that are influencing and active that we have to be mapping to. So that's one of the key messages that we're talking to sales about. And I can show you how they will be doing that on the platform and how you can tap into that information as well. 4 things like Tony mentioned, looking at when people have changed roles on LinkedIn, the buyer intent, and making sure all of that's in the CRM as well, so you can do your campaigns and reporting from that. And the sales team are doing this en masse. So this is some of the Tanium data about how much activity there has been. I think a lot of this is with the SDRs. I don't know, with the DSAs, that's something that we're focusing on, and the collaboration between the SDRs and the DSAs as well. But they are, the team are massively engaging with the platform, which means there's a lot of data in there, again, that you can tap into as marketers. And we're trying to help them save time. So by being more productive and successful, using the LinkedIn data, we have an estimate of how much time we're saving them and overlapping that with the MEDDPICC sales process that they're using as well. So, using LinkedIn to make sure that they are, map finding and then connecting with and then having the meaningful conversations with their economic buyers and all the people that they need to speak to across the MEDDPICC sales process. I don't know if you get involved in the MEDDPICC at all, in your team, Tony. Is that something that marketers tap into?
I wouldn't say MEDDPICC per se. I think we're going to get more involved as Mark rolls out some additional tools around giving visibility of the MEDDPICC. We do look for qualification of leads that we create.
Yeah.
So we do look for the economic buyer. We do look for pain. So there's elements of MEDDPICC that we try and qualify in the early stage, but no, not fully baked out.
Okay.
But I think the research efficiency, I think, is quite important, especially when we're talking about some maybe larger accounts and larger deals that we're working on. The LinkedIn AI that you've got is pretty smart in terms of pulling intelligence together.
Absolutely. I'm going to show that in a moment. Yeah, good point. And then, just briefly, the CRM point that Mark raised as well. Everything that we have set up with the CRM integration means that, a lot of the AI view and the relationship maps that I'm going to show you and everything you can do in SalesNav, finding key people, you can have a visibility of that from CRM as well, from Salesforce. So that, again, is designed to save time and also make sure there's clean, fresh data going back into the CRM. So, we've now spent some time getting that set up in an optimal way. So that's the end of the slides. Really, don't want to spend too many time in slides on a Friday, but I'm going to now share my screen to show you the Sales Nav platform and just try and tweak your interest in some things that could be useful for you. So please stop me as we go along. Yeah, don't want to hear too much of my own voice on a Friday. So please ask any questions. I'm just going to raise some key points and just want to try and get some feedback across things that you think you might use or might want to see more of in the future when you've got your account and you're wondering, okay, where do I start? What do I do now?
Charity, I know this might be an unfair question. I know I didn't tee this up beforehand, so if it is unfair, tell me you don't want to do it. But could you show us how you look at Tanium as an account through your LinkedIn?
Yes.
It'd be really interesting, as like a sales professional yourself, it'd be interesting to
Yeah.
see how you view Tanium and your relationship maps and the tools that you use to sort of stalk us. Roloff is a bit disappointed when you looked at partner marketing, you only had Rich and not him, but he'll get over it by the end of the year, 28.
Yes. Okay. No problem. That's probably a good place to start, actually, Tony, because it's just a practical example and it's
Yeah.
about you and your team. So, yeah, and yeah, please don't hold me accountable to anything that isn't exactly correct, because actually part of what I do with Sales Nav is I often share my screen with the companies that I work with and help them collaborate with me to give me the right information and a shared view of what what the reality is at the customer. So so yeah, it's constantly work in progress, but yeah, this is how the account page looks for Tanium when you come into Sales Navigator. Over the years, this has changed, but there's a ton of information in here. On the left, I can just, have access to any particular thing that I want to dive into, like buyer intent, that we'll have a look at in a moment. But if I stay on the main page, one of the first things that comes up is Account IQ, which Tony mentioned a moment ago. This is our generative AI. It's push button. It's built into the platform, so you don't have to leave. You don't have to type any text. It's so helpful to the sales team, but also for marketers. There's many use cases for it. The sales team will use it, ahead of calls to get up-to-date information. They'll use it to help build their account plans. It could be useful for ABM planning. What it allows me to do is put in the product that I'm selling, and I've got, I just put in Tanium here, and it will build, Tanium on Tanium is not the best idea, but if I'm coming in and I'm selling Sales Navigator to Tanium, it will help me with some initial key information points that are tailored between that product and that company as to what I might talk about. And so it's talking about connecting with IT decision makers. It's talking about engaging with partners. All of these information points, it's gone out across the internet and LinkedIn and made it relevant to my company and what I sell, Sales Navigator, to your company that I'm trying to sell to, as an example. And you can see the sources here. And there's lots of information. So this will be different for every company, the page that you go onto. So it's going to give me strategic priorities. Mark G?
Yeah, I just wondered where you were selecting under Account IQ, because you sell. I just wanted to point out that we have the ability to create our own. So we have done. So we've got, for instance, because I sell AEM, because I sell DEX, because I sell Tanium, blah, blah, blah. There's lots of those. So if you have anything particular that you want to message and be the foundation of this, we can add that to the system. We don't currently allow individuals to add their own, but that's something we will migrate to at some point. But we can add those. So any particular so for instance, one of the good ones we could have used is Converge World Tour. Absolutely. So we could have told it about Converge World Tour. So when our sellers are using this, or our marketeers, they can say, because you sell Converge World Tour, and then the messaging below would be directly relevant to that. So just wanted to add that point in there.
Yeah, great for campaigns and events. If you want to just personalize what's in here, Mark will add that in for you. And then coming down here, you know, how the company that you're targeting makes money, where the source of that information has come from, strategic priorities, business challenges, all the things that are part of a usual account plan and might take you hours to aggregate this information. It's all in platform at the push of a button, including competitive landscape. You know, headcount insights is a really good one. Which departments are growing, which are shrinking? Is that part of your conversation? Is that part of where you decide where you spend your time? And then, you know, things like key people on the board, the CE level people you'll see identified here and recently mentioned in the news. So the idea being, you know, you might have gone across 10 different sites, taken 2 hours to find this information before. It's all in one place now. It can be lifted into plans. It can be referenced at the start of meetings, whatever you might use it for. So that's Account IQ. It's been in the platform about a year now. It's getting a huge amount of usage across the sales team in Tanium already, and could be helpful to you as marketers as well. So flowing down the account page, you know, it's all on one page. So it's quite nice. You can just either pick from the left here, or you can just flow down like you would through a Salesforce page. Relationship Explorer. This is where I can put in my personas. And I can say, you know, find me some new people in this account under this particular persona, and I'll show you where you can create those personas. Take a couple of minutes to set up. The sales team are all using them, but from there you can then dive in to do a bit more of a detailed search, and you can just save all these people to a list, and you know, get going on kind of diving into that persona in that organization. So you can see here, actually, I'll just mention it at the moment, whether or not these people as well are already in my CRM. So this person's in my CRM, but he needs updating. He's obviously changed jobs from Price Hubble to be at Tanium. So that's telling me he's in my CRM, but his data's not correct, because we know LinkedIn's often more up to date. I can choose to update the record in CRM from there. And you will know if someone's...
It's good to see your CRM is as complete as ours, Charity.
So yeah, so look, Stephen here, who actually I've met and worked with more recently, he is correctly updating the CRM. So I'll take the kudos for that one, Tony. But yeah, you know, this is going to give you probably a more up-to-date view than your CRM exactly. So but yeah, I mean, personas are a thing that's very important to marketing typically. You know, here's an easy way of just plugging them in and finding more of the relevant personas. And then we come down to the relationship map, which I love relationship maps. You know, this is my one for Tanium. You can have many per account. So I've got one here just that was based on a meeting that I had with Steve. I've got a list of marketers here, which don't hold me accountable, is work in progress. And I've got my kind of top level relationship map here for Tanium, which I'll go back to, and it can have up to 30 people in there. 14 of which need to be updated in the CRM, to your point, Tony. And I can bulk update. I can click that button there to bulk update and have it, you know, have my CRM updated against all of those contacts in one go.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. Super cool. And
it used to be just one by one, wasn't it? It was one by one previously.
It did, yeah. And you can see here which ones are out of date. You know, I'm going to flag here someone's left the company. Do I need to replace them? Were they important to my campaign or to my renewal? Or, you know, whether I'm coming from a sales and marketing perspective, there's someone here that's either moved jobs or left the company. And these are work in progress, and you can create them. You know, you can get the SDR to create them and share them with the DSA. You could create them and share them with the DSA. They are shareable across the whole team that you're working with. So here I've shared it with my customer success team. You know, everyone can have a shared view of the customer. And there's two different views that you can have. So you can actually have the organization chart view here, which is very nice, or you can just share it as a list, or you can view it as a list, where you're going to get a list of people down the left-hand side here. And actually, you know, you might assign people in your team to map to people in the customer team. Yeah. You know, so I might be looking after Eric, whereas Doton's looking after Ben. And I can add notes in here, which again will go back to the CRM. So all of this is available to the sales team, but it can be visible to you as well as marketers if you're deep diving into a particular customer. Sorry, Mark, I think you had your hand up there.
Yeah, just on while you're on this particular screen, that data is also imported into Salesforce. So you can actually, via Salesforce, you can see these maps.
Yeah.
One other thing to point out is you can share this with anybody you like within Tanium, no problem at all. But there is a feature being worked on by LinkedIn. It's in the likely to implement category, which is where we can just share the maps with anybody at Tanium, i.e. everybody at Tanium could see it if they wanted to, rather than specifically having to be added. It's not a feature today, but it has been upvoted a lot, and it's in the likely to implement section. Because one of the things LinkedIn do very well is they allow us to say what it is that we want, and if enough people upvote it, then they usually implement it.
Charity, previously when we've updated CRM, you needed an email address to do that. Is that still a requirement?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay.
So there's not many mandatory fields, but I believe that is one of them. But I can double check that for you, Tony.
That's okay. Sorry.
And just you know, just as an example, you can click on these people and look on the right-hand panel at any point. And, you know, we also have Lead IQ, which is the Gen AI associated to the person. Account IQ looks at the company. Lead IQ will give you a nice little summary about the person without you having to go and read their whole profile. So again, that's much used by the sales team and available to you on any person. Most people, as long as there's enough information about them publicly, it will be available to you for each of the profiles that you're looking at as well.
Charity, is that just pulling data from their LinkedIn profile, or does it also scrape the interweb? Oh, it does
scraping. Yeah, it's doing both. Yeah, absolutely. Nice. So, and let me come up with an example here while we're here. So for someone that I'm not already connected to, which is probably difficult to find in here, actually, I might use another example to show you that. But if I was, for example, to look at Ian, you know, I've had a look what his profile's telling me. I can obviously get all of the company information as well. I can message, and because I'm not already connected with Ian, I can draft with AI. So maybe not necessarily something that you might use as marketers, but just to, you know, using all of this very specific information about what Tanium is selling and to which company, it will draft the first draft of the message, which the salesperson should, you know, expand, personalize top and tail. So coming back to things that we wanted to cover, you know, I'll just come out of this relationship map. We can go into that in more detail at another time if relevant. But, you know, as you scroll down the page, keep going, we come to buyer intent. So Jeremy and Jeremy Weissong, who I was working with in an enablement team, you know, again, like you, Tony, picked up on this as being very potentially important for the marketing team. Buyer intent is, you know, work in progress with LinkedIn. So we have been expanding it over the previous months and years. But, you know, it will give you a score of moderate, high, negative, neutral. That might predict, you know, where you spend your time. If there's low buyer and negative buyer intent, then it means that the company that you're targeting is not looking at your ads, it's not looking at the profiles of your people, it's not connecting with your people, maybe the interest level isn't there. Likewise, if it's high buyer intent, then the opposite is true. You know, you've got the attention, the eyeballs of that company already. And when you scroll down, you can come to some very specific information. Depending on how the people have set their profiles, you may see actual names here of who is looking at your ads and who is looking at your content and who's connecting with your team. So here I can just see high level profiles. Holly's got her hand up.
You can finish. You might answer him.
Yeah, so there's information here about ad engagement, company page engagement, employee interactions. So it gives you a general breakdown of where that scoring of negative to moderate to high has come from. And all of this is clickable to talk about, where that scoring comes from. So, and you can obviously click on more to take you into the lead search, which we're going to come to in a moment, if you want to then go and discover more about who these people might be that are looking at your company ads and your company people.
Is that all accounts, or is it like you can create a short list of accounts and then see who is surging intent?
Yes.
Or is that on an account by account basis?
No, you can do it. So a way that you would do this, and this leads me nicely into my next part, actually, Holly.
As if I knew what you were going to say.
Just like that, yeah. So just like if you're familiar with using Campaign Manager, you can now upload a list into Sales Now from a CSV like you can in Campaign Manager. So I've uploaded multiple lists via CSV based on various things, which means that I've got my Accounts Hub view here. And in the Accounts Hub view, I can I'm having a bit of a focus on Vodafone at the moment. Let's say I've got 18 different Vodafone companies in here, or it might just be a generic list of all my saved accounts. It could be a small list, a big list, but you can then query on buyer intent here, and you can say, just let me focus today on the companies that have got high buyer intent. Or maybe I want to focus on the companies that got a lower buyer intent because I want to target them and get more eyeballs onto them for my company. So that's where you can go in and just look. And then you can obviously dive into each of those companies and look at the specific information that makes them high or low.
Yeah. Mark, I need my account back.
Yeah.
So
no, we need to see if anybody else wants one first, Holly. Just so that you did that through a list upload, Charity.
Yes,
We've got a number of our partner sellers and marketers that are working on list collaborations with partners. I'll give you an example. Catherine in our partner org is working with Rebecca with SHI, and they're getting lists of like 100 to 200 at a time.
Yeah.
We're looking at how we can operationalize this in our partnership with somebody like SHI. Is it just from a list upload, or could it also be integrated? Like, could you create a view within Salesforce and then connect the Salesforce report with LinkedIn, or is it always just a CSV upload?
It's CSV upload to get the accounts into the Account Hub. But if there's a specific use case, we can work with Paul Giles, the customer success manager for Tanium, who's not on the call today, and he can help us see where we can take that, Tony, if there's a specific need with linking to CRM on that.
I hope Paul's going to watch this video back so he knows what we need. No, that's cool. I think it's really cool because actually it's one of the things we're looking at is how we can append. So we get these lists from partners. We're looking at how we can append intelligence from different sources and then understand where we can go and sort of target first. Yeah,
and it takes seconds to upload. You actually only need to put in account name, maybe website if you want to be double sure, and it tells you, probably the same as Campaign Manager, what the percentage match is in terms of the lead list, and then those lists go into this space here. And they can be shared as well. So I can take my list. I've got one here for an event that we did where all of the team uploaded the attendees of the event, which is another great use case for marketing. And I can share that list with anyone in the team. So I'll just find one here. And if it's one that I've created myself, I can share that with anyone in the team, again, like we did with the relationship map.
That's very cool.
Yeah, most people, as we said at the start of the call, have licenses in Tanium, so you can share it amongst yourselves, you can share it amongst sales, you can ask sales to upload a list of people. All of the SDRs are working from lists and account lists, so any of that can be shared with you if you as the marketers, if you want to include it in your field marketing campaigns. And again, if you are working from a particular lead list, sorry, I'm jumping around a bit now, I'll go into this particular one. I can see who's changed jobs in the last 90 days. At a click there, I can see who is connected to who within the business through TeamLink. All of these things are very clickable to just show you who's changed jobs and who in the company is already connected to who in your target accounts. These are the things that our sales are tapping into. Posting on LinkedIn in the last 30 days, again, a good indicator that activity on LinkedIn, means that they're potentially available for outreach there. So, it's possible as part of the ABM work that you're doing that you might have a focus on, and use some of these filters alongside the sales team to share information.
Mm-hmm.
So in the last 5 minutes then, I'll just show you one more thing before I go to questions, which is personas. So obviously we know that, we want to, we have these ideal personas and we want to get more of them across all of our accounts that we're marketing with, well, I'm marketing to and working with. And you can create personas. They're so quick and easy to create. You can have up to 5 that you can edit them. You can see here I've created a cyber specific one and just added as many cyber roles as I can find based in the UK. I can, make them as niche or as wide ranging as I want. So my cyber one is based on job roles, very specific, but my IT and procurement one is probably going to be a little bit more generic because it's just based on job function, purchasing and IT, not job roles. And when I go into that search, I can add, specific companies against that persona. I can ask, who has changed jobs recently. I can, have a look at, people that were past customers because I'm connected to the CRM. So I can see who in this list of people against my particular accounts has been a previous customer of Tanium. So there's a whole host of filters here that I can go through and, really dig into personalizing that information down to the people that are relevant that I want to market to, build into my ABM list or build into my DemGen list or invite to my event. So this is how the salespeople are working. You can work with them by sharing the list back with them, or they can indeed share their list with you so you have got their view of the world, just making sure you're aligning better. Sorry, Tony, you've got a hand up there.
Selene was first.
No worries, Selene.
Thank you. I was just wondering because I've seen your filters and I've already used them, but I was wondering if there is a filter or a manner to filter by conversation listening, let's say. Like, for example, if I can find someone which is speaking or which has a post about a subject, because I already used those one, but it's true. Yeah, category interest. I can see that it's new.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before. But
yes. So category interest, there's a whole library, which I'll show you where to find of what category interest you can put in here. So yeah, you can see here that you can be very specific about what is included in conversations, but also what I would recommend, Selene, is, if you are focused on a particular list of customers, I would upload the account list and, just actually do a keyword search as well in the keyword search box, because that, despite the filters, is a very powerful place to just see what is being. This will pick up where that keyword is mentioned anywhere on that person's profile or their posts. And you can also just click this button here to see who is posting on LinkedIn for it to narrow. I mean, obviously that's a very big list, but you might be searching just about one company. So you might just be searching on Vodafone, for example, instead of a whole list of accounts. So you can see who's posting from that particular company. So yeah, that's a couple of filters that you can use to dig in and have a look at who's posting from which company, and then add a keyword here and just see what they're talking about.
Yeah, my case was more about prospects, so like the customer list is not relevant in my case, even if it's interesting for another case, but it was more like for a prospective let's say position. If I want to look, for example, some people which are talking about my competitors and what subject is interesting them.
Yeah, so there's definitely a way of doing it. It's not, SalesNav isn't designed as a listening tool. I know there's others out there on the market, but there are searches that you can construct that will help you. So I would create a list of, in my accounts, I would create an account list of the partners that I want to monitor the conversation of. And I would go in and I'd have that as, I would add that list of partners into my account list here. And I would go in, I would have a look at who is posting on LinkedIn. I would do my keyword search, and then I would just, that's one way that I could do it. So there's always more than one way of doing things on LinkedIn, but it isn't designed as a social listening tool per se, but it will let you hone in on particular people or particular companies if you know who you want to monitor.
Yeah, for now I'm just looking directly. I'm not using Sales Navigator for this because, as you say, it's not designed for conversation listening. But I was wondering if there is a function in here. But okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to explore what the art of the possible. Charity, I know we're coming up to time, but could you maybe show us TeamLink and TeamLink Extend?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So TeamLink is the part of LinkedIn that shows you who knows who in your organization to all the other companies out there that you're either targeting or working with already. So, for example, if you've come up with a search, let's say, I want to have a look at all the information technology people. I'm going to add it, within a particular list of accounts that I'm working with. So my account list for this quarter or this fiscal year, I'm going to have a look at all the IT and procurement personas. So I'm just adding various filters here for an example. When I have a look at this list of leads or this list of people, one thing that comes up here is always TeamLink. So TeamLink shows me there are 5 people that are connected to me in LinkedIn that are already connected to Thomas that I want to include in my outreach. So it's really the network effect of, these days we're really only 2 steps removed from everyone that we want to speak to. So there really is no sense in going about things the hard way, because you might find that, someone in your close marketing team or your leadership team at Tanium is already connected to Thomas. And this is where it's going to show you. And there's 5 people here at LinkedIn that are already connected. I can reach out to any of them and say, how well do you know Thomas? Could you introduce me? Is that, if you don't, is there anything that you can add to my knowledge about that company he works for, that person? And you can see here, there's 123 people that are connected to Kieran that I could reach out to, and I would just have to test which is the strongest person to me, the closest person to me that I want to ask about that. Yeah. And TeamLink is all the people on the SalesNav contract. TeamLink Extend is everyone that hasn't got a SalesNav license, but that we've attached to the TeamLink Extend a pool of connections that we want to tap into.
And do you use that at LinkedIn, Charity? Like, if you was to have an extended member of your team, who would you be connecting with at LinkedIn as part of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we do actually is, from a sales perspective, we have a LinkedIn Power Hour. So we'll get into a room, instead of cold calling, we will sit around the table and we'll pull up a particular account list for someone in the team. And we will just go through and see, based on this account list,
who knows who and
who knows who. So TeamLink connections you can filter on here. So for this particular account list, who is a TeamLink connection, and who can we use in the business, and we will go to that person, whether they're in the room or whether they're somewhere else across the business. And so again, the world becomes a very small place when you work in this way. Typically the network that you'll have at Tanium is vast, and so it's really just cutting time, saving time by tapping into that network.
Yeah. I was just thinking on the Team Link Extend, we've got about 1,000 licenses. I think of only 7 are used at the moment, and I think we gave those previously to technical people that didn't have access.
Yeah.
But if I'm thinking, actually, is this like where you've got partners like the pit crew members, or where we've got advocates in our partners, so we can extend it to them?
Yeah.
We can then see are our partners connected to individuals in accounts, which will enable us to give us another route to do demand gen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just speak to Mark about that, see if that's something that you want to do. I think there is some capacity for licenses at the moment. So yeah, that definitely could be a use case for tapping into their networks as well. The final thing that I'll mention is smart links, really simple and easy to use. You know, you can create content. I created a smart link here, which I will put into the group. I'll share it with you now. Where can I message?
If you just pop it in the chat, I'll put it in our Slack, because I don't think we'll have access afterwards.
Yeah. So you don't need access to SalesNav to have a look at this.
Yeah.
So it's just a smart link which I created. It's got Tanium content on it. It's got video. It's got all sorts on it. So what I can do is, in minutes, I can create this very nice micro site, which then directs people back to my website or allows them to download a PDF. So, you know, one thing that you could do as marketers is create these smart links and share them with the sales team, and then you will get all the analytics back about who's opening them. So just to show you an example of analytics, let's have a look. So I've been sharing this link about the AI, and you can see here everyone that's opened it and how long they've spent on each page. It's really it could be saved back to the CRM as well in terms of what the activity is. You might see people have just looked for 5 seconds, or you might see a list of pages that people have gone in and accessed, or you might see that they've downloaded that content if there was a PDF attached there. But, you know, this is kind of great analytics for them following up with that person, because it's a flag of interest in the content that the sales team is sharing or the marketing team is sharing. And this smart link can be shared, you know, anyway, in an email, an in-mail, a text message, a WhatsApp, whatever, however you want to share it. But it's essentially driving, eyeballs back to your websites, and you're sharing your PDF content, or indeed your videos, whatever it is that you want to share. So I'll finish on that point there. I think, I know I've raced through a lot of stuff today, but it's really just to tweak your interest ahead of getting your license. We can do a deep dive into any of those particular areas: buyer intent, personas, relationship maps, building account lists, sharing account lists. We can do a follow-up to deep dive into any of that in the coming weeks and months, if there's a request to do that.
Awesome. I think you got a couple of questions. Oh, Selene, you were there, but you went, and Mark.
Yeah, so I had a question. It was more just in answering Selene's previous question. One of the ways we could do it, I know we haven't showed this, Charity, is category intent. So if you go onto accounts and just pick one of your book of business, or any of them that are relevant, you can then see category intent. And if you click on the category intent, you could tell it what you're interested in.
Yeah. And this is the reference. I don't know if Selene's still here, but that's not very good. So when we go here, there's a whole key glossary of what the category intents are, so that you know what to put in here. So,
if you just put in asset management, for instance, Charity.
Yeah.
There you go, IT asset management software. So anybody that's got an active interest in asset management software is somebody we want to be talking to.
Okay.
And there are lots of other categories we could add, and then it will show you those that have got high buyer intent. If you actually filter it in the right way, you can have high buyer intent and high category at the top of your list. That's what I teach the sellers to pay attention to when they're prospecting their accounts.
And it will actually take that through to a list of people for you as well, Mark.
Yeah.
So again, it's you know, in using parallel with Campaign Manager, where you're picking a demographic and you're going one to many, this is really then taking it down to another level where you can really actually find the people in the organization that we want to add to our list of targeting. Great, thanks for that, Mark.
Very cool. Anyone else got anything they want to? It's literally, you've got like a mind of knowledge here. And Charity, thank you for being so generous of sharing how you use it, because I think it just makes it a bit more real versus a CAD demo. It's nice to see your demo fluffed a bit then as well, which just makes it even more real.
I'd love to get some time actually to, if I could, just one-on-one to talk you through, to talk through with you like a campaign that I'm looking at, which has got a large portion of sales enablement in it already, but how we could use some of the things that we discussed today to kind of find that lower hanging fruit and use the smart links and all of that. If you would, spare me a little bit of time.
Holly, onboarding Endpoint X as part of your Team Link Extend as well, if Mark gives you an account back.
I was going to say, Holly hasn't got an account, so I don't know how she's going to do all that.
Well, I thought she could.
I'll outsource it. Who's got an account?
I thought she could outsource to Gemma Conway, because I was looking at the metrics for sales.
Account when she goes.
No, I was looking at the metrics for sales nav across our whole universe, and actually Gemma's in the top 5 for email acceptance rates at 100%. Also, the largest number of connections in the last 90 days, which you're beating the 560 salespeople that are actually on this system with 1,617.
But Gemma did start at like 0. It's got to be
Doesn't
relative
matter.
to the number of contacts you started with.
When it's an order of magnitude more than like number 3. It's like 4 times the number. So now we know what Gem's been doing for the last 90 days. Is building this mega network on LinkedIn. She's going to take over
You
the
must
world.
make sure that you go only into this industry though, because otherwise all of those people are incorrect.
I love the competitive spirit. It's more competitive than the sales team over here in marketing. But yeah, anyone that wants to kind of book half an hour with me and go through a specific use case, I think that's the thing, is to find your use case, your workflow, and then, you know, make it useful for you to help you with whatever you're doing. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining me on a Friday, and work with Mark to get your license. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me direct, connect with me, set up some time through Tony or me. It's fine.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Charity, and Paul, if you're listening to this, you're dead to us. You only get one chance and you missed it. So no, Charity, thanks so much. Have a super weekend. I know salespeople typically don't work on a Friday, so it's quite special you joined us today.
Yeah, obviously I'm just finishing now for the rest of the day with it being Q4 and everything, Tony. So yeah, nothing much to do.
You must have made your number with Mark's deal. So all right, have a super weekend, everyone.
Thanks all. Lovely to meet you all.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.